Hello and welcome to this guide creating a song using a 217 MacBook Pro, along with Apple's GarageBand application for recording and editing this simple project. As we go through the various processes, I'll be showing the different ways to access the menus, commands, and functions that I'll be using to build this song. Definitely take the time to browse around in the different areas and use the tools that I don't access that are within the application. You might find procedures that suit your workflow more better, and feel free to use the video chapters feature to skip ahead to specific parts of the process. The home screen allows us to choose a project. On the left side of the screen, it shows that we are on the New Project tab. Here we can create an empty project or open an existing one. We have Empty Project highlighted here in blue, so we're going to click the button on the bottom right of the screen labeled Choose. Okay, we're going to choose a track type. Starting with Software Instrument, highlighted here in green, we can look forward to recording drum sounds using MIDI instruments that are built into the application and allow you to physically play those instruments on the laptop's typing keyboard. This is the interface for our untitled project. This is the workspace where we will be building our song idea. Up at the top of the screen is the main menu where you can access all the commands, functions, and tools that the application provides. I'll explain those as we go through the process. Underneath the main menu is a control panel area where you can quickly access some of the most used functions and hidden windows. Hovering over an icon or a button will give you a little pop-up description of what that particular button does. This button opens and closes the library browsing panel on the left side of the screen. This can also be done by typing the letter Y as a shortcut on the laptop's keyboard. The next button is a quick help button, followed by the icon for the smart controls for that track or the letter B on the keyboard. The Precision Editor shares the bottom window with the smart controls. Clicking on the icon or typing the letter E on the keyboard hides and unhides this feature, which we will get back to later. Next are the audio controls that go hand in hand with the white timeline marker located on the time grid workspace. The controls are used for rewinding, fast forwarding, to stop, to play, record, and for using the cycle repeat function. The display window shows us information about the project. There are different modes available here. This mode shows us numerically where we are in the song, measured by the bar and the beat of the song. It shows us the tempo of the song, as well as its time and key signature. To change the mode of the display, there's a drop-down menu on the side that allows you to switch modes. The next button is a pitch tuner represented by a pitchfork icon. You can use that to tune an external instrument if you use one. An example here would be an acoustic guitar. For recording, we will be using the count in 1, 2, 3, 4 and click metronome tools. Next is the master volume for the project as a whole, followed by the button for a notepad so you can take notes. The button on the end is for the loop browser. It's a side panel on the right side of the screen that you can hide and unhide by also using the letter O on the keyboard. The left side window panel is our library of sounds. The default instrument selected is a vintage electric piano setting using specifically a classic electric piano. I'll be choosing drum kit. This opens up a list of drum kits to select from. The shaded choices are available as plugins which are bought separately and are added to your library. I'll be selecting this unshaded choice, SoCal. Now I'm going to collapse the library with the button on the control panel area and then collapse the smart controls on the bottom using its button. Musical typing is the last window here. We'll be using this to simulate instruments for recording. You can click on the piano keys on the screen to get different sounds that pertain to that type of track, or you can also use the keyboard on the laptop. Musical typing can be hidden by going up to the main menu. You want to select Window, and then you want to select Hide or Show Musical Typing. Or you can use the keyboard shortcut Command and K. We'll keep it up for now. We're going to use this function to record our drum sounds. The cycle function button, or the letter C on the keyboard, allows you to determine a looped piece of an audio recording, which comes in handy during the listening and analyzing processes, and when choosing an effect to apply to a track area. Now I'm going to change the settings in the display window. First, I'll change the tempo from 120 beats per minute to 150 beats per minute. The signature key from C major to D major. And then I'll change the display mode from beats in project to beats in time. Okay, so we're going to change the musical typing region. And be sure to check out the various instrument sounds using the highlighted region marker to browse through. You can use the arrows on the sides, or you can just click in a desired region, or you can click and drag to move the region marker. But we're going to be recording bass drum sounds for our first track. And also take some time to see how musical typing is organized in correspondence to the typing keyboard on your MacBook Pro. See how you can use pitch bend and modulation by using the numeric keys, and how letter keys are used for sound and octave controls. Okay, now I'm going to save our project settings and name it while we're at it. I'll go to File, I'll go to Save, and up comes a save window. You can also use Command key and the letter S on your keyboard as a shortcut to the same window. I'm going to save the project as twos in the default file, and I'm going to click Save by clicking the blue button. So at the top we have our title, and I changed the track name from SoCal to Kick. That stands for our bass drum. For recording the kick drum, I'll be pressing the J key on the keyboard as opposed to clicking on the J piano key in the musical typing window. I'll be using headphones while recording each track to this song as opposed to listening to studio speaker monitors. When we click the record button, the first 4 sound clicks will be our countdown. After the countdown, the recording will start. I'll be playing along with the metronome to help me keep timing. Notice the J piano key registering on the musical typing window as it's being recorded. I'm going to stop the recording by using the record button again. I'm going to go to the beginning using the button. I'm going to use the play button, and then I'm going to stop using the same play button. Okay, so I'm going to close musical typing, and I'm going to double click on the actual recorded MIDI clip. This pulls up a precision editor which has different features that can be used. Be sure to explore these. And I'm going to move these note values to align with the grid measure. Alright, let's have a listen. From down here, I'm going to drag the timeline marker to the beginning, use the spacebar to play the recording, and then use the stop button up top at the control panel area. I'm going to move the timeline marker to bar 9, beat 1, and then hover on the clip's upper corner for the loop feature. I'm going to click and drag the corner to the timeline marker I have set. And then I'm going to go to the beginning with the button or by using the return key on the keyboard. Continuing with drum sounds in mind, I'm going to duplicate our kick track. I'm going to go up to Track on the main menu, then select New Track with duplicate settings. You can also use Command D for the keyboard shortcut. Now I'm going to select the recorded clip and copy it, using Command C. With the timeline marker in the position of where we want the paste to copy to, and here we have the selected track that will receive the pasting, we'll use Command V to do so. Down below in that New Tracks editing window, I can use this piano keyboard area to select the various library drum instruments. The note values can be moved into any cell in the grid. I'm going to take these duplicated kick drum note values, and then I'm going to click on one of them. Up above, I'll go to the main menu, and then to Edit, and then to Select All. You could also use Command A for that, Select All. This highlights all values, and then I can drag them all up at once to the tom drum sound. Together, these two sounds create a certain sound. Okay, I'm going to close the editor window using the editor's button, or you can use the letter E on the keyboard. Next for drum recording is the ride cymbal. With the metronome turned off but the countdown still engaged, and with the second track renamed to Tom, I duplicated the drum track again and named it Ride. After finding the ride cymbal sound using the musical typing sound locator, I recorded the clip using the J key on the keyboard again, using faster note values, and I didn't edit my recording so as to maintain a natural feel. The cymbal track was added using the same process as for the ride. Now we're going to record the bass guitar sound using another MIDI track. By right-clicking on the track's channel, in this case 2-finger click on the trackpad, we can choose New Track with duplicate settings. Pressing the letter L on the keyboard opens the library. Here we can change the setting to bass, and then fingerstyle. We can close the library using the button on the control panel. Double-click track name and change to bass. Okay, so here we have the bass added. Let's go ahead. We only have 2 notes here, so let's go ahead and listen. And then stop with the space bar. Alright, now for the guitar tracks, we're going to use an actual acoustic guitar. So we have to create a new audio track. So in the main menu, I'm going to go up to Track, New. In the Choose Track Type window, we're going to go to the Audio section. In the Audio section, we want to select Record using microphone or line input. And then we're going to create that track. Now we're going to record the guitar using the built-in mic on the laptop. We'll use the letter R to start the recording. And the space bar to stop. Alright, that track was named Guitar L for guitar left. The track and the clip recording were duplicated to a new track named Guitar R for right. I added a distorted guitar effect to that track, and that'll mix well with the dry acoustic track that's on Guitar L. Okay, so I'm going to collapse the library using the letter L. And then the smart controls are the default for the audio tracks, and we'll get back to that later, so I'm going to collapse that with the letter B. And now the lead track was recorded using the laptop keyboard, using the instrument synth lead and the setting arena run. Let's listen. Now we're going to record what will be the next part of the song. We're going to go over to the loop browser on the far right, or you can use the letter O on the keyboard. Be sure to preview all the pre-recorded sounds that it has. I'm going to go to Instrument, All Drums, Motown Drummer 16, and then I'm going to drag the sample to the Drag Apple Loops Here area up to the timeline marker to create the track. This creates an audio track channel, and I'm going to drag that channel up to where the rest of the drums are. And then I loop the track out. Okay, now we're ready to record the guitar part for this second section using the guitar tracks that we already have established. The chord pattern was only played once, and then duplicated over to the same track, then duplicated down to the other guitar track. a lead was recorded, and the bass was recorded. Okay, getting into a feature called Arrangement Track, we're going to go to Track on the main menu, and then Show Arrangement Track. You can also use the keyboard shortcut Shift-Command-A. Up above the track channels is the Track Arrangement tool. That allows you to organize your song sections into regions. By clicking on the icon represented by a white circle with a plus sign inside of it, this lays out an arrangement marker with the default of 8 full measures. You can extend or shorten the length accordingly to include each part of your song so that you can move them around or duplicate the whole regions for reoccurring parts in your song, like a chorus or a verse, for example. And then clicking the plus sign button creates another marker from the last one. Alright, we're going to duplicate the intro region by using the keys Control and Option and drag that region past what will be the verse region and lay it at the timeline marker. Click an empty space on the grid to deselect the tracks. While holding the Shift key down, select the 4 lead clips and delete them with the Delete key on the keyboard. Shift-Command and A closes Arrangement Track. And now we're set to record the vocals. We'll be using another waveform audio track to do so. First, I moved the lead track up to where the guitars are. Then I duplicated the audio track channel and named it Vocal L for left. Let's check it out.
Things really happening too for me and you.
Alright, now the extra little bit of recording at the end of the clip can be edited and deleted from the timeline. Do this by grabbing from the side of the clip and then clicking and dragging the excess area inward. You can also line up the timeline marker to the point where you want to slice the clip. Command-T will split the highlighted clip, then you can delete the unwanted piece. Okay, so here I'm going to cut this unnecessary dead air from the front of the clip. The vocal track was duplicated twice. One track was named Vocal R, the other Vocal M for middle. And then I assigned an effect on the Vocal M track called Helium Harmony. Alright, here I'll duplicate the last region, which is a copy of the intro, and then I'll Control-Option drag it to the timeline marker. I'll deselect the tracks and multi-select the vocal clips and delete them. Using 2 fingers to scroll on the trackpad, I'll go to the intro region, to the lead parts, and multi-select the clips. Then I'll copy and paste those clips to the marker in the last region. Now we're going to change the names of the regions. In the headers, we can click on the drop-down menu. Here I'll change this to Outro. This one to Chorus. Keep the next one as the verse and keep the first region as the intro. We're going to hide track arrangement and bring back the timeline marker with the button to the start, and then I'm going to drag the Vocal M track up and in between the other 2 vocal tracks. Each track has its own muting button, and a button for hearing only that track. There is also a volume fader and a pan knob for each channel strip. These will be used for mixing all the tracks together into something that sounds cooperative. Alright, I'm going to go up to the main menu to View, then Show Smart Controls. Well, these are the smart controls for the particular instrument where you can add different effects like reverbs and different things like that here. But we're going to be using the EQ as opposed to the controls. So let's go into that. Using the equalizer, I will boost up the tonal parameters of each track, equalizing the bass or lows, equalizing the mids or middle areas, or equalizing higher pitch parameters. Okay, we're going to set this kick track to only be heard. The volume for that track I'll put all the way up, and then I'll equalize the track. I'll do the same for the rest of the MIDI drum tracks. The track that has our beat loop on it is an audio track and is equalized all on this one channel as shown here in the EQ window. Okay, with all the tracks equalized, we can now pan each track. Panning is basically placing each track's sound recording into a position along your listening spectrum. By default, all tracks are panned to the middle position. I like to organize the tracks in a way that mimics a live performance. I do this by keeping drum tracks near the middle with the bass track, and panning all the other instruments outward to the left or to the right along the range. This gives the feeling that the music is coming at you in a wide swarm as opposed to a single file line. Now I'm going to go up to the main menu, to Track, and then Show Master Track. Double-click on its channel strip, and then equalize that master track. So the master track is our main volume output for the project as a whole. On the main menu, I'm going to Mix, Create Volume Fade Out on Main Output. This pulls up an automation mode with two new buttons, Input Monitoring and Enable Automation. You can also use automation for panning as well. So I'm going to scroll to the end to see the fade out that was created. You can customize the fade by moving the points along the segment. Now we're all good to mix down to the music library. First, I'll save the project. Then I'll go to Main Menu, Share, Song to Music. I'll fill in the info for the Share to Music window, and then I'll click Share. Okay, so let's have a full listen for fun.
For me and you.
And thanks a lot for watching. Later days.